Namaste guys, welcome to
Spilling the Cha. I got hay fever, so if my nose sounds really blocked, that's why. Welcome to episode 4 of Spilling the Cha. Today we're touching on quite a serious topic that we, as girls, I'm going to say as girls just because we're girls and we've experienced it, so we wanted to express our views and our experiences. It happens to boys as well.
Yeah, it happens to boys as well, but there's been many cases linked to girls.
And relating to this topic, it's quite a sensitive topic, so we're going to be very careful with how we word things.
In a way that is negative, we do not mean it in that way.
It's just that this is quite a sensitive topic and people take things in different ways. We'd like to keep that in mind, as well as we would like you guys listening to keep that in mind as well. So as our topic is
sexual assault and abuse in the Nepalese community.
So today we've just collected a few real life experiences and stories from a few of you that wanted to reach out to us when we put this out on our story on Instagram. So we encouraged you guys, if you wanted, to share your thoughts and your opinions, because we do like to get other, like, even though hamro afno opinions and thoughts when it's how we also want to, like, you know, voice out other people's thoughts and opinions as well. So today we have a collection of experiences that people have very kindly trusted us to share anonymously, so that we can raise awareness as well as learning together, I guess.
Yeah, what they went through, what does happen, you know, behind closed doors.
So sexual assault and abuse is something that kind of goes quite easily unheard or missed in our community, especially because, like, most of the time it's kind of hushed, kind of like ashamed. Like, you get shamed for talking about it, saying that, like, afne izzat jancha, afne nak katincha. But you know what? That really annoys me, because it's like they say to the victim, especially it'll be your own people telling you not to expose the perpetrator, because, like, afno izzat jancha bhanera. But if anything, it should be like the mante, the one who did it, it should be their izzat that goes, not the victims.
Exactly. It's annoying how they just blame the victim straight away and tell them to be quiet. Why should they be quiet?
Especially, like, they're like, oh, यस्तो कुरा भन्नु हुँदैन, कोहीलाई यस्तो कुरा भित्रै राख्नुपर्छ, बदनाम हुन्छ भन्छ नि. But, like, the thing is, this happens to not just older people as well, but it happens to kids too. So if you're teaching your kid that you shouldn't speak out and you shouldn't expose someone for the bad things that they do just because you don't want to be seen as, like, you know, you don't want your knack to be cut out in public, then what are you teaching your child that is okay for those things to happen?
And, like, what, so they suffer in silence? I don't like that thinking at all, to be honest.
And, you know, like, sometimes they grow to think like that's normal because...
Yeah, of course, because there was no one there to tell them, you know, that's not right, that shouldn't happen. But instead they were told to be quiet and just forget about it. But how can you forget about something so traumatizing?
Exactly. So on our Instagram story, we did reach out to anyone who wanted to share their story if they felt comfortable. A lot of you didn't know who we were. A lot, banale, like 4 of you didn't know that you guys didn't know who we were before you asked and, you know, you found out. And we're very, like, we really appreciate that you have faith in us that we would be able to share your story and keep it anonymous, because it's such a big thing to tell someone something so traumatic, and an even bigger thing to come out to the public and talk about it openly like this. The first story that we are going to share was shared by someone that we both know quite well. It's really frustrating, and also it's really shocking to hear that someone that close to you has gone through something like this.
Usually we hear about it through, like, news or maybe
like other people's
other sources
stories.
But not someone close to us.
So I'm going to read out her story, and this is something that she just wanted to share. She does not want to do anything about it. She doesn't want to disclose any names or any places, but it's just something that she wanted to share as a form of awareness that यस्तो कुराहरु हुन्छ भनेर. अनि it's such a raw and real story that it was very shocking to us. But thank you so much. You know who you are. Thank you so much for sending in your story and trusting us to share this. When I first came across your podcast and posts, I wasn't sure whether I would be able to trust and explain my case, especially since there was only a few episodes, but now knowing who you guys actually are, I feel so much better. I think it is great what you guys are doing, being a voice for people who can't do it for themselves. Well, thank you. Such as myself, and with topics like this, it is difficult to know who will be on your side and who will judge you. Thank you for doing this anonymously. It gives me peace knowing that I can share what I have gone through, as I have never told anyone else this, but it is something that bothers me to this day. Every now and then it pops in my mind and I get a wave of confusion and anxiety because I don't know what to do or how to feel about it. My story is of sexual assault when I was a little girl, about 7 to 8 years old, and it is weird because this came to me as a memory. I was doing something one day and it just popped in my mind so randomly, and I was really shook because I couldn't comprehend how or where this had come from. A part of me felt like, was I imagining things? But how can I imagine something so disgusting and so vividly too? I remembered so clearly the person who had done this to me, the location, as well as something that had happened after, so how could I make it up? Honestly, I thought I was going crazy. I even did some research just trying to find out how the fuck this had even come to me one day. I learned that there is this thing called involuntary autobiographical memories, also similar to mind pops. These can occur when the brain recalls a sudden memory while doing everyday mundane tasks, when you are not even trying to remember anything. This can also occur without any known or easily identifiable trigger, such as with myself when it came to me so randomly. It can have no connection whatsoever with whatever you were doing in that moment. Trauma is something that we can either handle well and tackle, face on, or hide away and keep gated in our minds. So maybe my trauma had caused me to suppress a memory of something so embarrassing that I did not want to think about it again. Can I just say as well, I am not trying to start anything or trying to tackle my trauma, because this is something that happened to me so long ago that there is really not anything that I can do about it now. When I first recalled it was really hard to accept, but I got over it, and it's so frustrating because I feel like it would bring more harm than good, if I'm honest, and I just don't feel like getting into it again. Saying that, at the same time, when I was able to fully accept and understand what had happened with me, I felt like it was so unfair and disgusting that I wanted to tell the world. I wanted to scream and find the person who had done that to me and shame them. But then again, I thought about my poor family and how they would feel. It's funny how in our Nepalese society, reputation and not nak kataune is so important. That is so true, don't you think? A lot of people they care so much about their place in society and their reputation that they honestly forget about the things that are more important. That was a big sigh.
No, because it frustrates me so much, and it's actually really sad how much they care about this reputation, which is not going to get them anywhere. What is going to get them? Is it going to get them money? Is it going to get them... Are they going to be the queen? Like,
Exactly.
I don't get it. Like, what is this reputation going to do?
Like, people will remember you, but they're not going to remember you for long, if you're being honest. Like, come on. You know, people forget. Focusing so much on reputation is not good for anyone.
You're literally living for others if you keep focusing on reputation, you know, like, what are they going to think? You're literally living for them.
But they'll chat shit regardless, that's the thing.
Exactly. Whatever you do, whatever happens, they're just going to find something.
So going on to my story, there was this auntie's house that we used to visit all the time, so it's not like it was a place that I did not know. I think I was around 7 or 8 years old. Since it was a flat, the garden was separate, like you had to go outside to access your garden, and it was shared too. So it was like any other day that we would go to visit them. This auntie had 2 sons who were at the time much older than me, about 24, 25 at least. So we went round there like always, and the auntie wanted to show my mum their garden and give her some sag that she had grown as well. I was playing in the living room, and one of the sons, I don't even want to call him Dai, he was sleeping from his night shift. And who would even think that anything would happen? So my mom said I could stay and play with the toys until she came back, since it would not take that long anyway. So they left and I was just playing with the toys when the guy woke up and started talking to me. And stupid me, how the fuck could I not realize that there was something wrong? Like, I really cannot understand my brain at that time. He told me to show him my toys and told me to come closer. I was a very affectionate child, and I still am an affectionate person, so I love hugs and skinship, which is why when he hugged me I didn't think anything of it. We were just talking and he was playing along with my toys as well, when suddenly he started talking about if I had a boyfriend. And I think I just took it as him teasing me, like how we tease kids. I don't know. I actually cannot comprehend what I was thinking at that time. Then he asked me if I knew how to kiss, and obviously at that age, who the fuck is gonna say yeah? Anyway, I said no, and he was saying that he would teach me, so when I have a boyfriend I would know what to do and not look stupid. Like, what? I was fucking 7, 8 years old. And when I recalled this memory, I honestly blamed myself for the longest time, thinking how the fuck could I be so stupid, and wondering what the hell was wrong with me at that time. But the more I broke down the situation and thought about it, I was the victim. I was the little girl who knew no better and trusted this dude because they were a family that we would see often, and so I trusted them. Unfortunately, what happened next, I would not want to happen to anyone ever. He said he had to show me for me to learn, and he started to pull me closer and lay me down and started to kiss me. I wish it stopped there, but he started to touch me down there over my clothes. For the longest time I kept thinking, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why did I let him do that? But now I think, what the fuck is wrong with him? How was I supposed to know? It was not my fault, and as a kid trusting an adult that they see often and get along with, how was I supposed to know that they were harming me? Thankfully, before he could do anything else, the sound of the aunties saved me. It disgusts me that he was laughing it off and even made me pinky promise not to tell anyone. It disgusts me even more that I, despite my age, laughed as well and went along with it. A few months later, we went to Pauna at their house again, and there was a lot of people. There were also kids my age and didis that were older than me as well. What I remember from this day is probably what created the trauma and taught me that what happened was actually wrong. The didis were talking about that guy and saying how good looking and hot he is. And me being a kid, we know how kids love to be involved and feel like they know what elders are talking about just so they can fit in. I stupidly opened my mouth and said that he kissed me while laughing. Oh my god, the secondhand embarrassment that I get thinking about that again. Bearing in mind I was still 7-8 years old. The looks on their faces was more than enough for me to feel anxious and scared. They started saying, ew, that's so weird. Why would he do that? What the hell? That is disgusting. What a weirdo. Of course, at the time I felt like it was aimed at me because I was stupidly laughing about it, and their reaction was the complete opposite of what I was expecting. I just remember being so embarrassed and feeling a wave of panic and anxiety hitting me because I didn't want my parents to find out that I did something bad, even though it was not my fault. So I just told the didis that I was joking, probably like 100 times throughout the night. Reflecting back now, a part of me felt like the didis should have done something, anything, because I might not have been the only one that guy had done that to, especially if he can do that so casually, because you would know that something is not right. The older you are, you would know what is right and what's wrong, but then again, another part of me feels like maybe they didn't have the courage or didn't know any better, or maybe they just didn't care enough. I don't know, there's 1,000 possibilities, and even though it took me a while, I realised that there's no point blaming anyone else, because it had already happened, and it's been years, so me just sitting here stressing myself out about what could have happened or why didn't anyone do anything will only affect me negatively. Maybe at that time it was a taboo topic or something, or maybe people kept it more hush since it was seen as embarrassing and ladslag though. I don't know. Anyway, it must have been from that day that I suppressed these memories because I was so embarrassed and scared that my parents would find out, hence why it had been locked in like a Pandora's box in my memories until something unknown triggered a flashback now. Actually, it's been 2 years now since that memory came to me. I still feel so sorry and violated for my younger self, but it happened. And I know some people might say, tell your parents, tell the world, expose him, but I myself can't remember his face, nor would I have the heart to tell my parents either. One, because I don't know how they would react. Will I be disappointed because there's a chance they would just tell me to keep it quiet and move on since it's already happened? Or will I be uplifted and they would help me seek justice? Justice. What justice would I even get? It's been so long, a part of me feels like there is no point, especially since I have already dealt with my own trauma in my own way and I have gotten over it, so I don't want to pick at old wounds or create new ones to my parents. I know my parents, especially my mum, would feel so heartbroken if I told her. She would definitely blame herself for leaving me there, even though it was only 10-15 minutes, and she trusted that family, because I know that if I had a kid and that happened, I would spend the rest of my life blaming myself, and I don't really want to conflict that kind of emotional damage on my mother. To be honest, sending this in feels like a massive weight has been lifted off my chest. Even though I had initially thought that I had gotten over it, it makes me feel so much lighter knowing that the people who are listening into your podcast will know my story and be able to raise awareness for the future through my trauma, and that is justice enough for me. So thank you guys for creating this safe space, as you call it, for a way for voices to be heard. Best of luck for the future.
Oh my gosh, I need a deep breath after that.
Okay, there are so many things that I feel is so wrong with this story, unfortunately for you.
Too many.
Not to do with the person who sent it in, but just the whole scenario in general.
The situation, the people involved, how she thought about it, like
How she blamed herself.
yeah, exactly, blamed herself, and then her feeling embarrassed on how the Didis reacted,
And then
which
them
she
not doing
shouldn't
anything.
do.
Hello? The fuck?
No, the Didis should have definitely told someone,
Or
know,
at least...
or like try to comfort her instead of just being like, he's weirdo, you know, like
Yeah.
okay, yeah, he's a weirdo, but someone
That's
got
happened,
affected,
yeah.
like that's happened to someone. So you know, just saying that and be like, ew, he's a weirdo is not really gonna help.
Exactly. And if you can see that, you know how she was saying that she felt like quite anxious, like if you can see that she's feeling that way from you saying that he's a weirdo and what the hell and all that, then why would you not realize that, like, that this kid is actually like, why would this kid make this up? Like, it's so fucked up.
First thing is that she was a kid. Clearly, like, she didn't know that's why she was laughing, and like they should have observed also and just asked her more, maybe, or just
Yeah, like I would
you know,
not just
like,
leave it at that.
no,
Never.
like, don't just be like, you know, just give a reaction and leave it. Just
Exactly.
oh my god, if I heard something like that, like if I heard a boy tell me, I would sit there and be like, what do you mean, what happened? Then yeah,
I'd be so
I
concerned.
would actually be really concerned and just, I would tell someone.
Me personally, if a kid came to me and said that, regardless of whether it was a joke or not, I'd be so concerned, because how can a 7 or 8 year old just think of that like that? I would definitely have said something to either the parents or even to that guy, since we would be around similar ages. But before anyone else, I would hug that little girl as soon as I saw the panic in her face. I feel like they made her feel alienated by that, because the fact that she had to keep saying that it was a joke to them like 100 times throughout the night, like she said, that she must have felt really
Exactly.
like alienated, like she was the weirdo.
Exactly. And when a child keeps coming up to you and saying, oh, by the way, it was a joke, or by the way, you know, after a few
Yeah,
times,
you would
something
think.
will click.
'Cause
Like, you
it's-
will be like, okay, like, it must be really bothering her. This is what I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
That's common sense.
then they should have at least reassured her or just asked her more. The way they reacted was kind of wrong as well.
Okay, look, maybe like around that time, maybe like it was a taboo topic. And you know, people were not, people were not empowered enough to come out and tell their stories or tell their stories. So maybe I can a little bit appreciate that they probably didn't have the knowledge, or like they probably didn't have the knowledge that istukuraru hunsa manera. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
okay,
mean?
I understand that they didn't have the knowledge, but anyone with common sense would know that is wrong. Like, that's an freaking got the old guy there.
Exactly.
And that's a child.
She's what? She said she was 7, 8. So that's literally like 9 years. Is that? Oh my god, my maths. Oh my god, it's more. What the hell? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 17 years older.
That's this. That itself, oh my god, how can.
Oh
no,
my
like.
god.
Okay, yeah, it was a taboo topic. No one really talked about it, especially in our society, or whatever. But that's just wrong. Get common sense back. Omansi knows that's wrong. That's like a whole old ass die.
That's one thing that was fucked up. The other thing is, actually, the main thing is that dude, what the fuck is wrong with him?
What is
What the hell goes through your mind to think that, oh, I'm gonna lips a fucking 7 to 8 year old kid?
That's disgusting.
A kid, a
That's actually
child.
disgusting.
You know, she probably didn't even have her period by then. She probably doesn't even know what period sex was at that time, at that age. And he's here teaching her, like, oh, so you won't look stupid when you have a boyfriend.
I cannot believe. Like,
That is
I'm actually
so
disgusted.
manipulative. Yeah, it literally makes my skin
I just
crawl.
want to spit in his face because that's disgusting. Old ass grown man, brain fully developed, and he's
Well, clearly not. He's still a Neanderthal. He's still a fucking Neanderthal for thinking that way.
I just don't understand what goes through people's minds to even think in, you know, this the way about a
That
child.
is normal,
or
like-
just do that.
Or even just, yeah, to just think, like, to them that is normal. And, then, you know, he knew he was wrong because he made her pinky promise not to tell anyone.
Exactly. That's the more fucked up part.
The other thing that's really fucked up is the fact that, oh my god, girl, I just want to hug you and just freaking just hug you all night, because I feel so sorry that she had to deal with this on her own because she thought it was embarrassing, and the fact that she was blaming herself, thinking what is wrong with her for letting that happen.
It's really sad that, like, Suru Dekine, she started blaming herself and thinking it was her.
Yeah.
And then she shouldn't have blamed herself at all. Like, that's the really sad part.
Your story was called Galti Ke China.
Exactly.
How is she supposed to know? And you know what? That's the other messed up thing that I want to link in with, is that we do not teach kids enough sexual education as Nepalese parents. And like, because you know, like, the Amro culture is more like only. What's that
They
word?
don't even want to talk about sex. They think it's like
They think it's like freaking.
like, it's not wrong to teach your kids about sex.
Well, I know for sure when I have kids, I would definitely teach them about, at least not when she's 7 or 8, but at least tell them, like, if someone touches you like this,
Yeah.
you have to tell someone. We have to do something, like,
not
the-
hide it. You need
these-
to tell someone.
Exactly. And that's something that you have to engrave into your child from a young age, so that they know that it's not their fault. And it's that, first of all, to know that it's even wrong, because bless her, she was just laughing it off because that dude was laughing it off.
And because she's still a child and he's older, so obviously सानोले ठुलो मान्छे त हाँसिरहेछ अब, and obviously she's gonna be like, oh, okay, maybe this is normal.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, if he's laughing about it and just acting like as if
Nothing happened.
and it's all normal. Obviously, her being a child and looking up to that older person, she's gonna obviously think like that.
I would freaking-
Disgusting guy. I'm sorry. Fucking disgusting.
He deserves to be freaking throwing pebbles, stones at, boulders at.
Literally.
This was very brave of her to come out and tell her story like this, because, like she said, she just wanted to raise awareness that Istukuraru Hunsa, and it's not her fault. but in the future, like she said, to raise awareness for the future through her trauma. Yeah, as I was saying, I think it's just so important to teach kids, especially like, you're the parent where the after you're the responsibility when you to teach your kids right and wrong. And it doesn't matter like if it's an embarrassing topic or it's something that's not really spoken about in our community, because we are more conservative in our Nepalese society. Is that the right word? Like, we're more conserved.
Yeah.
We're not like open about sexual stuff.
I don't know if they think if we don't talk about it and avoid
It's
it
not
that
gonna-
we won't.
That's not gonna happen,
People
Juanita.
won't do it or something.
Exactly. So bearing that in mind, I really think that sexual health and like sex ed is something that we should teach our kids from a young age. Even if you don't teach them like about the whole birds and the bees, at least tell them about if someone touches you in your private parts, like that's not right. You need to tell us. Don't just keep it to yourself. Don't feel embarrassed. Because a parent is your guardian and is someone that you should be able to tell without feeling shy or embarrassed, or that they'll just hush you or tell you to like not after basically. And so when it's not even, she's the victim, she's the victim, not the perpetrator. So how is it not downing her? If anything, it's him. He's the one. He's the villain.
He should be the one that's embarrassed.
Thank you so much for sending in that story. It has opened our eyes that this shit still happens.
So our next story is something that happens quite often, but people brush it off. So one time when we went clubbing, some girl tried to pull my guy friend, like she was really trying. He's not the type of person to just go with any girl that comes his way, and she must have thought she was a motherfucking Meg the Stallion or something, because she got so offended when he kept rejecting her. She was literally throwing her body at him, and my man was just vibing with us. That must have really hurt her ego, because she called him gay and started shouting all sorts of shit while walking off. Wow. First of all, why is she calling him gay?
Just
because she got rejected. I think that's
someone's
that's
got ego
wrong.
problems. Because that's kind of fucked up as well. Like, you can't just... And you know what? Why is she using gay as an insult?
Exactly.
Like, she's saying it in a way that is like, oh, you're gay. Like, she's saying it in a negative way, so it sounds like an insult.
And just because he didn't want to dance with her.
First of all, he probably didn't want her rotten ass pussy rubbing all over his leg. Or else, like, why? No, I'm joking, guys. In all seriousness, just because a guy doesn't want you does not mean that he's gay. That is the stupidest thing I've ever fucking heard in my life.
It happens to guys as well. Like,
like, they don't go around calling girls lesbians just because they got rejected. Because it's so ridiculous, kid. Like, it's just ridiculous. And you have to call your friends out on this shit because it's not cool at all. Like, it's like, if you just laugh it off on something, then it's just gonna like boost their ego even more and think that, oh, it's okay to say shit like this when it's not. So you need to call your friend. I hope you called out your friend on this, because this girl is probably out here thinking that she's freaking 10, which is good. I'm all for self-confidence and feeling your shit, but don't go about making other people feel like shit just because
exactly
you didn't get what you wanted. That is the lowest
and
thing.
don't be like going up and just dancing on, didn't you?
Exactly. And it'll be the same type of people, the type of girls or guys that will say like, oh, I don't want this guy rubbing up on me. Or you do the same thing. So what? So a girl can do it, but a guy can't. Sorry. But we don't do double standards here. So our third story was sent in through our Survey Monkey that we posted on our story, because it's like completely anonymous on there. We don't know who posts what. So we'll just read that out and then discuss our opinions on this situation.
First of all, thank you guys for making this podcast. The first episode was definitely relatable, and I'm looking forward to future podcasts. Glad I'm not the only one who feels that way, and also it was really thoughtful to make this anonymous and give the audience a chance to share the story as well. I wanted to share my story, which even talking about it until this day makes me quite uncomfortable, and I still blame myself a lot. So this happened during my first year of university. I did go out a lot with my friends. It is uni. So one of the nights I was with my two friends. We were as usual just dancing, having fun in the club. I happened to see this guy that I knew, and I considered him a friend. He was with his friend, which I don't know who he was, nor do I remember that face. I have gotten drunk before, but not to the point where I cannot walk, and that time I was a heavy drinker, so I did not get that drunk easily either. The next thing I know, I'm separated from my friends. The guy friend and his friend took me to the toilets. I fell over in there. I could not stand that well. I only remember bits of what happened after. They said they would take me home, and of course I stupidly trusted they would take me home, and that's it. So while they were taking me out, I really needed to vomit. I remember begging him, please stop, to let me sit down, I need to vomit. And I just remember he got aggressive and angry with me to the point where his friend, who was silent the whole time, actually spoke up and told him to stop and let me sit down. Next thing I remember was they took me to my room and I was in my bed, fully clothed. By this time, I was in and out of consciousness. I'm really sorry, I can't say that word. Next thing I know, he got into bed with me and he started touching me and undoing my bra. And I remember pushing his hand, but I felt so weak, like I had no strength. I told him I feel sick. That's when he stopped. I remember just walking to the bathroom and I vomited, and all I could see was black vomit. I had never vomited black before. But even after that, he wouldn't leave. He kept trying it and he touched me. I don't want to go into too much details, but he did manage to take my pants off and touch me down there. I had never been so grateful for my friends who pushed open the door, came in and kicked him and his friend out. But to be honest, it all hit me the next morning. When I woke up, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I looked down at myself. I processed what happened. I panicked and I cried. I felt so alone and shocked. I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt so dirty and so used, and I just felt absolutely disgusting. I didn't know who to call, what to do. I felt horrible. I can't even put into words how horrible I felt and how dumb I felt. I had bruises on my leg. I don't know if he kicked me when walking home because I had a shoe mark bruise. My friends told me that he was just stood in his boxes when they walked in and his friend was there playing music on his phone. He just watched it happen. If they had...
So he knows, and he admitted that the girl said no, yet he continued to do that and drag her to her room. That is so fucked up. Honestly, I don't know what's wrong with people, not just in Nepali society, but I know Nepali boys, sometimes they are a bit aggressive, and you guys can't, you gotta back me up on that, because Nepalese guys at parties are fucking aggressive. They really are. And some of them, yeah, they don't know how to take no for an answer, as it hurts their pride and their ego too much. But this is like next level fuckery. It's basically, he was about to rape her.
You know, some people, they get so aggressive if you reject them.
Because it hurts their ego. They think that they can get the girl, and when they can't, like, they feel stupid. And that's why they resort to being physical and forcing them to do things that they don't want to do, just to have their own way. First of all, this guy was meant to be the girl's friend. So how would she, like, I'm sure she wouldn't be friends with him if she knew that he's this type of person, that he has this character and he was going to do this to her. So the fact that they were friends and he did that, she must have trusted him to some degree, allow him to take her home just to drop her off. Regardless of whether the girl is drunk or she's giving you hints. Like, to be honest, I feel like it's rape if she's not able to say yes to consent. Like, you know, like, even between girlfriend and boyfriend, like, or husband and wife, you do get situations like this. If they're so drunk to the point that they can't function and you're still trying to, like, stick it in them,
Even like,
that is rape.
even like grabbing their face and, like, you know, like proper,
Trying to, yeah.
yeah, and just touching, and I think it's kind of assault.
It is,
If they're like
because
completely out of it and
they
you're
don't know
still
what's going
trying
on.
to...
Even though that dude was that girl's friend, she said no. And what's more fucked up is that the fact that his mate did not even freaking... He did not give him the wake-up call and realize that this is wrong. Well, actually, no, he must have realized it was wrong, because he said he told the girl, he told him that to stop when she wanted to vomit. So he must have realized that this is not right.
How did he not feel uncomfortable watching the whole thing, just sitting there, like,
Especially
I
when
don't
he's in his
understand.
fucking boxes and the man's there just playing music. What, to cover up the noise that's going on? So he's basically like a partner in this crime. You know, it's worse, like the fact, give on to the leg, rather than the situation that happened. It's worse if you're a witness and you don't do anything about it, because at least you are in your right mind if you know that something is not right, but you're still not doing anything to stop it.
Exactly.
So you're more fucked up for
just watching, like, do they not feel uncomfortable just watching, you know? Like, how can you just...
And she was really lucky that night, because who knows what the fuck might have happened if her friends didn't barge in and kick them out. Like, the fuck? And if he can do this to her, then I'm pretty sure he must have done this to other girls as well. Like, how can you... Like, what goes on in your mind to think that, oh, I'm gonna do this? Like, you must be a different kind of evil.
And the fact that he admitted that she was saying no, and then he's
still doing it. So he knows that
he
it was
admitted
wrong.
it after, so
The
it's like...
fuck? So he literally admitted that she is saying no, and he's still done it. It's the man too. I feel like, you know, an eye for an eye is perfect for people like this. Like, they need to have something happen to them that they're saying no to. I don't care if that sounds cruel. I really don't, because what he did to that girl was evil. It really was. And it doesn't matter if she was at a party. It doesn't matter if someone is a party animal or if they're getting drunk. If they're not in their right mind, then what makes you think that it's okay to have your way with them? I hope your dick rots. And your asshole rots too, fucking cunt. Because, you know, this happens too many times.
It happened so many times.
It's happened to me. It's happened not in the exact same way, but it's happened to me. It's happened to my friends. It happens to a lot of girls that I know. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen to boys, but I'm just saying the majority of the time. Maybe girls speak out on it more or something, but the majority of the time it happens to girls. And it's just sick that how many fuckers are out there thinking that this is okay to try and touch a girl when she's drunk, to try and have your way when she's like semi-conscious. You lot are fucked up.
You know what? And I overheard, or like some of my guy friends tell me that like their friends, they literally pick out girls who are drunk because it's easier to get with them. You know what I mean? That's the most fucked up thing I've ever heard. And I literally said to them, I was just like, that's fucked up, and you should tell your guy friends that's fucked up. Because
I wonder how they would feel if this happened to their daughter or their sister. I really do.
You know what? I've gotten into so many arguments, like Isto, with Kidaru, and I've literally been like, what would you do if that would happen to your daughter or your sister? And do you know what they said? My daughter or sister wouldn't go around to parties anyway. Bruh. It's like, oh my god, they're thinking. I just don't understand.
So basically they're saying that those girls are like going like they're like not Ramro because they go to parties and stuff, but their sisters and their daughters are Ramro and they're not going to get in that situation because they're Ramro. They don't go to parties and shit, basically. And the fact that that dude freaking said to her, "Abba, are you going to get drunk like that or not?" This it's like he's comparing it to like giving a toddler a chili and saying, "Oh, are you going to eat it now or not? Like, is it spicy or not?" Like, what the fuck? That is so patronizing, so demeaning. So demeaning. I lost my vocabulary because I'm so pissed off.
Boys get completely out of it drunk.
Exactly.
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
What?
No, I'm trying to say, like, they're saying, Zenya, are you going to get drunk or not? Because that happened because you got so drunk. But they get so out of it drunk.
They get fucking white girl wasted and they can't remember shit in the morning. So, like, are you, like, you know how that feels? Like, when you can't remember anything, you get so, like, anxious and scared. Like, okay, boy, so, imagine if you woke up and you don't know what happened and suddenly you realize that someone has sexually assaulted you and you couldn't even stop it.
You know, it's the okay? Like, if it did happen, God forbid it doesn't happen, but if it did happen to their female friend, sisters or any daughters, they would go crazy. They would go ape shit. They would go to beat their mom. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's the
So just because a girl goes clubbing and blah blah, do you even know your sister or your daughter? Do
you think we go around telling our dads like
yeah, exactly.
Do you think girls go around telling their dad, "Oh, by the way, dad, I'm going club, yeah?
I'm gonna go drunk, yeah"?
You know what I mean? Like, do you think girls go and tell their dads and brothers? Yes. What do they mean? My daughter, my sister's not going to be like that. What do you know?
Oh my god, we need to like calm down now.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel my blood pressure rising.
Yeah, I'm getting really hot now. Now that we've calmed down a bit, we can move on to our next story. Hi guys, I came across your podcast on someone's story and I think it's great what you are doing. Nice to see fresh faces or voices expressing their thoughts, and I love that you are finding hobbies and side hustles to do besides nursing. You better believe it, girl, because nursing is not for me. This is a really sensitive topic and one that is very divided in our Nepalese society. I hate how sometimes men and some women blame the girl, because in most cases it happens to women. I hate how they blame them with misogynistic comments. Am I saying that right? Misogynistic comments like, "Look how she was dressed. Well, who told her to wear that short dress or skirt?" Excuse me, but just because a girl is dressed the way she wants to, like a bad bitch, doesn't mean that she's doing it for you. The fuck? And if that's the case, then is that something that you would be able to say to a young girl who was just walking home or getting babysat by a relative? And these are the same people who would kill or die if the same thing happened to them or their own family members, yet they defend their own if they are the ones who have done it. This is literally what we were just talking about. Yes, we were literally just talking about this, so I completely agree. But it is a difficult one because on one hand, I can see that it's your family, so you would do anything to protect them. But it is their own battle to fight and they have to learn from their own actions and face the consequences. But I don't think it's right to drag the rest of the family or friends down just because of that one person. But if they're supporting their actions, then that's a different case. So I guess it depends on the way others say it. And it is difficult until it happens to you. Like, it's hard to be like, this is what I would have done, because you aren't them and that hasn't happened to you. So your situation is just hypothetical. So anyone can be like, oh, if that was my brother, I would have done this. If that was my sister, I would have done this. But it hasn't happened to you. So it's easy to be like, I would have done this. That's another big sigh. This podcast is just full of sighs.
No, because the clothes thing really pisses me off. Like, fuck that. That is such bullshit.
At the end of the day, no means no, though.
Exactly. They don't deserve to be like
it doesn't
sexually abused or assaulted.
Saying, like, there are some girls who might dress a certain way and have a certain reputation. They don't give a shit about like other people, and how their actions may have consequences, but at the end of the day, like, no still means no. As much as a girl likes sex, because girls like sex too.
I don't know why people like open girls like people are like see they
If you like sex, you're a slut.
yeah, why can't girls like sex? Why only केटाहरूले मात्रै मन पराउँछ
Yeah,
sex?
girls have needs as well, you know, not just men.
Do we not have hormones?
Exactly. Do we not have pussies? Do we not have
What the
not
fuck?
have like sexual organs?
And what if they party or what if they dress a certain way? Like they're enjoying themselves, so let them be.
Exactly. And then these are the same people that like live your life, do your live your best life, do what you want, don't let other people stop you, and then you're gonna like comment on a girl's what they're wearing and saying
Exactly.
that they deserved it
They're not-
because of the way they're dressed or because of what their reputation says about them.
They have the right to dress how they want without them having to worry about is this dress making me look like I'm asking for it? Because why would Luga look like you're asking for it?
Exactly. What so you're
Then
saying going back to our first story, the little 7-8-year-old girl, bless her.
Exactly.
So are you saying that the clothes that she was wearing was that she was asking for it? Get the fuck
Stupid.
out of here. That is such bullshit, first of all. No one asks for it. And you don't realize how traumatizing it is for a person. So why would they want to be traumatized, please?
People just throw around the word she's asking for it.
Exactly. Or she was just like that.
Yeah, she was dressed like that.
Or like, you know what she's like.
If you can't keep it in your pants and you can't control yourself by looking at Giddy, maybe dressed in like
Be like, ew, you know school on, then you can't wear tank tops. Ew, do
bra
shoulders,
strap.
does shoulders turn you on? Is that your fetish? You can't keep it in your fucking pants.
if you can't control yourself, stay at home. Fuck
Can't
off.
control it, then-
Fucking stay at home. Don't come out.
Bagel, get bagel.
Men walk around half naked in the summer.
In it, is that saying that I'm gonna pounce on you even if you don't
You know what
want
I
it? Like,
mean?
what the
Like-
fuck? No, it doesn't. Girls, like I said, girls have needs too. So do you think that a girl is gonna see a half naked guy and be like, oh my god, I want his dick, and just like go for it? No. Have some fucking dignity, respect, morals, and shame.
Why do girls always get told, oh, don't wear that? केटाहरूले उसो गर्छ कि don't wear
Exactly.
that, don't अति छोटो भयो अति उस भयो केटाहरूले हेर्छ बाटोमा.
Bro, literally.
No, why don't you teach
Man,
them not to
exactly.
look?
Teach your fucking kids, your sons not to look. Teach your brothers, your fathers.
Why should we have to spend our whole lives worrying about like your life when you what?
Even though our whole like generation has evolved to be more equal and stuff, it is still a bit patriarchal. Is that the word? There are certain men that still believe that men are better than women, they're higher than women. I mean, in a way, maybe our elders teach girls to do that to protect themselves, because sometimes maybe men just don't care. Not just men, but most of the time it's men. You know, and I'm just focusing this on women because girls are the ones who are taught not to do things a certain way in order to provoke the men. When the men are the one who should be taught not to be provoked by these like the same things. We got lots of sighs in this video.
I'm sighing so much. I'm so frustrated. Oh,
Oh,
there's another phrase that I hear a lot and it just pisses me off. It's like, अब केटा मान्छेहरू त्यस्तै हो म के गर्नु हामी केटा मान्छेहरू त्यस्तै हो के गर्नु त त्यस्तै भएर केटीहरू केयरफुल हुन पर्छ. What the fuck?
You're basically justifying a guy's actions because
Exactly.
boys will be boys.
And that's how you do victim blaming त्यसरी हुन्छ.
Exactly.
Because you're saying basically saying अब केटाले अब केट like something जिस्कायो अरे.
Or like when like say a girl is dressed kind of sexy, you know, she's feeling herself and all of that, and then they're gonna be like, oh, अनि त्यस्तो केटी देखेपछि केटाले मन पराइहाल्छ नि. केटाले गरिहाल्छ नि त. Like, you know?
केटाहरू त्यस्तै क्यारेक्टरको हुन्छ अब. You know what I mean? Like, why are you justifying them?
Yeah, you're literally
Why
saying that it's
justify
okay
actions?
for them to be like that just because they're boys and they've always been like that.
It's so dumb because there was this one guy and you know what he told me?
What?
Oh, like, it's okay for me to go out because I'm a boy.
Why?
Girls should be obedient, okay?
Listen, yeah, London ma mara हुन्छ ओ केटाको बीचमा. They shank each other, bruv. You're telling me that it's safe for you to go out. Nobody's safe in the streets. I'm being serious. Like the stories that we've read today, the victims end up blaming themselves because that's what they've been taught. Like, why were you dressed that way? Like, यस्तो गर्नुहुन्न, सानैदेखि सिकाउँछ. बरु सानैदेखि instead of teaching them, यस्तो लाउनुहुन्न, यस्तो गर्नु हुँदैन, instead of doing that, why don't you teach your sons as well? Don't do this, don't do that. Teach them as well.
Exactly.
They get so much leeway. They get away with so much shit just because boys are boys.
They think that the perfect kitty should be obedient, simple लुगा लाउने, cover up लाउने. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, अनि त्यो के छु अब उस लुगा अलिकति त्यो स्ट्रापी लुगा लगायो भने अनि च्याटेको जिन्स लगायो भने चाहिँ बिग्रेको
साडी लाउँदाखेरि त्यत्रो भुँडी देखिन्छ स्पेसली लाइक आजकलको फेसन देखेछ पुरा आमामा त्यो नाइटो देख्ने गरी हुन्छ नि त
हामी नै भन्न सक्छौँ नि
एक्ज्याक्टली हामीले देखेर पनि कस्तो हुन्छ नि लाइक आई कुड नट वेयर क्लोथ लाइक द्याट येट you're like for the same girl who is wearing crop top and low rise jeans you're saying that she's bigreko because she's showing off skin. But you know how we try to understand the generation saying like, oh, they must have been older, it's been like I said, it's a patriarchy of that word. It's this is a system so maybe that's what they're just teaching what they've been taught to us, which is not wrong of them because they're just like passing on what they know, but they should also be open to trying to understand why we feel that women should be empowered and men should not just get away with whatever. I'm not saying, by the way, don't take it the wrong way, I'm not saying that like it doesn't happen to guys, it does. It's just unfortunate that they're unable to come out with it, which we will talk about in another podcast. So it's up to our generation to teach our elders, and you're old enough to lecture your parents back. It's your turn now.
Exactly.
You need to lecture them about what is right and wrong, especially because like we learn so much every day which they did not know about in their past. So it is up to us to teach them the things that we know and what's right and wrong so that they don't have this closed mindset.
It is frustrating when some of them are just not open to it, then you just end up
talking to a brick wall.
Yeah, like it's just really frustrating. Like you try to tell them like not step by step, but breaking it down and being like, okay, maybe this is what you were taught in your generation and maybe this is how you were brought up. But obviously like this is what we learned and this is wrong. You should, or like you shouldn't say that about people, or you shouldn't this the one then, yeah, but some of them are not open to it and it's a bit frustrating. But
and you can't force someone to change either. You just have to accept it. It's just extra stress for yourself. And you know, like we said in the beginning, before we even started this podcast, our main like sort of quote and reason for this podcast is that we are in a developing world. Like everything changes every day. You learn new things, you experience new things. So we as a society and as humans have to be able to adapt to that and develop with the world as well. अनि अझ भन्छ नि लाइक ओ तिमीहरु त भर्खरको हो तिमीहरुलाई थाहा हुनुपर्ने अहिलेको
अनि भन्दाखेरि सुन्नु पर्दैन
Exactly.
Also, like I hear these elderlies talking, no disrespect to them, I do respect my elders, but just some of the things that comes out their mouths, I'm just in disbelief. Like when we like listen to the news about sexual assault, rape, त्यस्तो कुराहरु आउँछ नि सिधै victim blame. राम्रोसँग स्टोरी पनि चिनेको छैन, स्टोरी पनि थाहा भएको छैन, सिधै त्यसलाई त्यो केटी चम्कोली भएर त्यो केटी यस्तो भएर होला. It's like, excuse me, can we focus on the fact that some grown ass dude decided to sexually assault or rape a girl? Like, can we focus on that rather than just being सिधै like, oh, त्यसले के गर्यो होला?
Like you said, त्यो scenario हुन्छ हैन, like that will happen. अनि फेरि अर्को news आउला saying that was wrong and it was actually the keta that did this, blah blah. Then they'll have like a change just because they're literally just following what that person is saying, whatever that like media outlet is saying. They'll be like, eh, on the त्यो केटा यस्तो रहेछ. Like have some shame.
But even then sometimes they'll be like, त्यो केटी किन गएको त अनि केटासँग. It's like,
this is what I mean. They're justifying men's actions. And like I said, don't take it the wrong way. I'm not saying it doesn't happen to men, but most of the time it happens to women. So our last story was actually sent in last night. Hi there. It was really nice of you guys creating this platform to share your own thoughts and feelings. I wish you the very best for your podcast and looking forward to more episodes. So I decided to share one of my saddest moments, or I don't know how to describe this traumatic past. Anyway, there was this stupid girl, very innocent, obviously, and this person decided to take advantage of her innocence. I was very small at that time, around 9 to 10 years old. This person was a teacher, like a guru, someone that every student looks up to and tries to learn from him. He was really nice to everyone, to all the students. But that was before I knew the bad side of him. I was one of the students who was really looking forward to learning something new because I really looked up to this person. He was very worshipped in our community. Who knew that he would do such a thing to his own student? Even if I say it, I feel like no one would believe me. He had such a naive face, and the way that he talks to everyone was very inspirational. Like, no one would fucking believe that this person is actually a monster inside. So one day he called me in his office, which was outside of school. Just to let you know, it was very common for his students to go to his office for a casual gathering because he was one of those teachers that everyone liked. That day I was called and he said something very important, which I believed and trusted in him. There was also one older student with me. So we went together and we both went into his office. I don't know if that senior student knew what was going to happen, which is still a question mark for me. I believed it was something important because that other student was with me too, and he was one of his best students. We were just sitting there, and after a few minutes, the guru came and we greeted him like how we used to do in Nepal. That student was with me for a few minutes and then he went outside, but I was expecting him to come back, but he just disappeared. After that, the guru started talking to me, and I don't remember what we talked about because it's been so long. After that, he told me he would do some prayer and some religious stuff for me. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I went along and said, okay. I remember him saying to me, don't be awkward, and I was just quiet and sat there. Then he started writing something on my forehead and neck and hands, and he said he's going to write it on my belly. That moment I was so confused, and I showed him my belly because he was someone that everyone looked up to, so I didn't think that there was anything wrong. And like I said, he was worshipped. So he was a follower of God, and people also looked up to him and worshipped him as a god. After I showed him my belly, he wrote that prayer on my belly, and after that he said he's going to write it on my private parts as well, and I showed him as well. I don't know what was wrong with me that time. I had so many chances to say something or fight back, but I don't know why I was so fucking quiet. I didn't even know what was going on. So after he wrote something on my private part, I was very uncomfortable and I didn't know what to do, say or think. Slowly he started to use my body and I was so scared and couldn't even move properly. When I think of it now, I had so many chances to fight back, but at that moment I was like a statue, just frozen. I was all by myself. I was too scared to even say anything, and I was quiet the whole time. After that, he told me to sit and lay down. At this moment, I wish I had done something or even fucking opened my mouth to say something, anything. And then he used me. I don't know how to word it. Even when I'm writing this down, it makes me feel so angry and disgusted what he has done to me. It was too much for me to handle, so I started to cry. I even said, please, no. I needed help so much that time, someone to speak for me or fight for me. I didn't have a clue that he was such a disgusting, ruthless person for trying to use my childhood and my innocence, my silence and my respect for him, as well as my body. I was praying and wishing someone would come and stop this. So afterwards, I think my crying was getting louder, so he stopped and I dressed myself up quickly and ran from there. I was all by myself crying and running to get back to school. I was just a few minutes away from my own home. On the way, I saw my uncle and he asked me if I was okay. I couldn't even talk. I just ran from there straight to school. I wish I could have just gone to my house, which is only like 10 minutes away, and talked to my family, but I was too scared to even go near my house. I was only little, so I didn't know who to talk to, and what happened to me was not right. I had opportunities to talk to my uncle, but I couldn't even open my mouth. I regret it so much now, which I could have raised my voice that time and said something. I could have told someone that something like that had happened so that he could have been punished or something could have been done to him. No one knew about this incident except for my friend at that time when I got to school and I told everything to. I had no close friends in school apart from her, and she was the only one that I could share it to. Bless her, she did try to support me, but we were so small that time and we didn't even know what to do next. We were too scared to raise our voice to anyone. I told her to be quiet and not to tell anyone. Till this moment, she still remembers and tries to support me and tells me to get my rights and heal my old scars. I still tell her not to say anything or even mention it. I think especially more because he was such a respected member of the community, I was more scared not to say anything because I didn't want people to judge me or look down on me or shout at me. People say karma comes back. I think that is very true. A few years ago, my friend told me that Guru had passed away. I'm not saying I'm happy, but after hearing that news, I took that as my justice. Even I didn't speak for myself. He got his karma. I just wanted to forget that moment ages ago, but it still haunts me till now. I want to keep this anonymous. I just wanted to share my trauma to let people know that not every decent guy who wears a monk dress is innocent. And there are some children who are still suffering like me till old age. Whatever he did was unforgivable, and his type of people should get punishment. Thank you guys for giving me a chance to share my scar. And yes, I want to keep it inside me and not coming out publicly because I think I won't be able to cope with how people will react after this, even if it's a good or bad reaction.
Oh my god.
First of all, I'm so sorry that you had to go through something like that at such a young age. I think it makes it worse because when someone who's such a respected member of a community and really looked up to by like hundreds of people, it is really hard to be the one person to go against them, which is why I can understand why she may not have had the courage to get her justice. It's just really sad, and I completely understand that she wants to keep it inside. She doesn't want people to know. She doesn't, because she feels like she got her justice through his death.
Yeah.
Because everyone handles trauma in different ways. They all handle things differently. I think this goes to show that exactly just because someone is a leader doesn't mean that they're a decent person, regardless of whether it is a guy or a girl.
It's kind of sad. I think he abused his power as well.
Definitely.
By telling her like, about who knows कतिवटा मान्छेलाई नि त्यस्तो गर्यो kids.
Especially like अब त्यो मान्छेहरूले उसलाई भगवान जस्तो देखेर
Exactly.
he wanted to pray for her रे.
And by pray for her भन्दै त्यसरी गर्दा that's such an abuse of power. And
Especially someone who is a follower of, she said monk, right? So
Yeah,
Buddhism
Buddha.
was in the, especially someone who is a follower of such a nice and respected religion. How can you use, like you said, how can you abuse your power and do that to someone? She was only 9 or 10.
And that's so sad that like
Her innocence
She
was
was
robbed.
so confused and scared, alone. Like, that's really sad.
If he can do this so easily, how like there must have been other victims as well, and
Who could not speak up either.
Our last story mentioning about that person was a monk. That reminds me of the Miruna situation. So you know the Susmita Regmile भनेको थियो नि केटी मान्छे नै केटीको enemy हुन्छ. That is so true because even with the Miruna case, it was मैले जति देखेको चाहिँ it was mainly women saying like, oh यो मान्छे त यो केटी त विदेशबाट आएको त्यही भएर हेपेको यो लामालाई. Bro, यो त विदेशबाट आएको त्यही भएर ठुलो पल्टिन्छ ठुलो ठानिन्छ आफूलाई, saying that she's basically happening the priest the lama.
First of all, she Afe is Buddhist, she said. So why
would she happening her own religion? And second of all, like our last story, not everyone who is a follower of God that people look up to, not everyone is a decent person. So what makes you think just because he's a lama that he's not gonna have indecent thoughts or do things like that? Because last one got to bako to. What she did was she had a natural reflex and freaking slapped him, as she should have. It doesn't matter that he was a monk or
and she
a lama.
also said like, at first she questioned, she even contemplated.
They're like, who the fuck is gonna say like, oh, that was a fucking accident?
Exactly.
These excuses that the villains have. The villains, I'm gonna call them villains because that's what they are. The excuses that they have and their supporters who are supporting the wrong things, they just make me so like, they just see my English vocabulary is running out because I'm just in so much disbelief at some of the shit that they say. It just does not make sense.
And I'm sorry, but it was a bit dramatic, like burning her pictures and everything.
Exactly.
People are too fast to react.
They hear one thing and then they act.
That's what we were saying, like sheep just follow her.
Yeah,
and pussy 360 change. You know what I mean? Like
but
did she to react too fast at reacting without knowing the full story? It's a bit.
We didn't think anyone would actually respond, which is why we even thought about just talking about our own opinions on this. But the fact that there was quite a few of people who did respond and trusted us enough after they knew who we were
and shared their stories, that is such a...
It's so brave, first of all. What I gathered from most of that is that they felt at ease being able to say it out loud or having it said out loud, but not actually revealing that it happened to them, so they don't have the stress or pressure of people knowing that this happened to them, but they're still able to sort of like, in a way, get justice because
they were still able to share their stories.
Yeah, and exposing the people who did this to them.
And I think most of them said that they felt
like they were thankful that
thankful and
as a way to start healing their old scars, even if we helped a little bit.
Yeah, it was like something that they've been holding on to for a long time,
and they don't know where to share it to.
Yeah, and then they finally shared their story through anonymous, but they still were able to share it. And
so I don't know, because you know that
like,
it's out there.
It's out there now. People don't have to know Costco story or Kyo, but still it's out there now, and it's just.
And it also shows us and other people that this shit still happens.
And
it's wrong. But it still happens. It's so sad that so many people still feel like they're the ones who are wrong for doing that, or they shouldn't feel scared. But even through this, if it made you feel a bit more at ease, we're really thankful that we could do that for you. Even it may seem like nothing to some people, but
to them it still meant something.
Anyway, that is the end of today's podcast. मेरो मुख पनि सुक्यो,
हाम्रो टाउको पनि दुख्यो, blood pressure नि rise भयो,
यहाँ ज्वरो पनि आयो पुरा रिसाएर. So that is it for today. Thank you to everyone who actually did participate with your opinions. And you know, we just did this podcast as sort of, I think today it felt quite overwhelming that people actually are like supportive and able to use this platform as
use us as their voices.
Yeah, that is the main thing, because in the beginning that is what we wanted to do, because we're tired of this shit. We want to
society
and we want to learn from ourselves to start speaking up for ourselves as well.
Exactly.
So you guys like trusting us and opening up to us gives us so much faith.
And by hearing people's stories and opinions, feedback on Instagram and things like that, we can learn as well from
definitely
you guys.
So remember, there's no point in crying over spilled tea. Wipe it up.